The private sector seems to be concerned about, particularly the trade war with China, that there are some rough waters ahead, maybe a recession, that those odds have risen. What do you see?
Well, I tell you what, I sure don't see a recession. We had some blockbuster retail sales consumer numbers towards the back end of last week, really blockbuster numbers. And in fact, despite a lot of worries with the volatile stock market, most economists on Wall Street towards the end of the week have been marking up their forecast for the third and fourth quarter. That echoes our view. You know, what we've got here, consumers are working at higher wages. Right. They are spending at a rapid pace. They're actually saving also while they're spending. That's an ideal situation. So I think actually the second half of the economy is going to be very good in 2019. No, I don't see a recession. And let me add just one theme, Chuck.
Sure.
Just one theme. We're doing pretty darn well, in my judgment. Let's not be afraid of optimism. I actually think it's a pretty good story. And again, let me echo my theme. Let's not be afraid of some optimism.
Okay, you say that, but you know, you actually said that in 2007, right before the second worst downturn in American history. This is what you wrote. There's no recession coming. This is in December of 2007. The pessimistas were wrong. It's not going to happen. The Bush boom is alive and well. It's finishing up its sixth consecutive year with more to come. The more to come was a massive downturn. So I admire your optimism, but the data is pointing in another direction.
Well, I plead guilty to that late 2007 forecast. I plead guilty. By the way, every other forecaster, CBO,
you weren't alone. You weren't
OMB,
alone. That's
Blue
right.
Chip,
you weren't alone.
They were all there. However, just a wee bit of Kudlow defense now. By February and March on CNBC in those days, I did go to the recession call. So I will plead that I did see it. I don't know that anybody saw that kind of crash. But look, this is not then. This is not then. Our banks are well capitalized. Our financial system's in very good shape. And I must say, as the president is transforming and rebuilding this economy, he deserves enormous credit. A new policy of lower taxes and regulation and energy opening and trade reform. You know, we didn't quite get to 3%, but look, Chuck, the first 2 years of the Obama administration, we were just a hair below 3%.
Okay.
We're moving in the same direction. And let's be honest here. We've faced severe monetary tightening, 7 rate hikes in 2017 and 2018. I don't think all that was necessary. It's a miracle we were able to continue as well as we're doing.
This is Trump's economic advisor Larry Kudlow promising, just like he did in 2007 while he was carrying water for the last Republican president, that there's definitely no recession coming. And I feel like the safer bet here, while we're predicting things, is that Larry Kudlow is not the person to turn to for insights about the economy. In reality, what this proves is that Kudlow is just as much a reliable economic figure as Kellyanne Conway is honest. That he, on more than one occasion in his desperation to defend Bush, swore up and down that there was no recession on the horizon in 2007 is a testament to the fact that his partisan politics have always outweighed whatever tepid economic credentials he has. And while Kudlow absolves himself of his partisan hackery by claiming that every other forecaster missed the economic crash, I should note that there was one person who did see it coming.
Ultimately, Alan Greenspan's constituency is just the banks. Just keep those banks safe, and that means everything is happy.
But you see, Chairman Greenspan does think we can make the payments by and large. He's been asked about this in recent appearances, and he's not that worried about household debt or that it's too much or that we might be getting in over our heads.
You know, I don't understand what Chairman Greenspan is reading in terms of the data. Let's talk about what's happened to families, not in the long past, just since the year 2000. Since the year 2000, credit card defaults, that is, people who are not making even the minimum monthly payment, up 55%. Home mortgage foreclosures, people who desperately want to keep up the payments on that one asset because if you don't, it means you're out on the street, up 45%. And bankruptcies, the ultimate declaration of financial death, that I can't make it anymore, up 33%. What was the number one New Year's resolution this year?
What was it?
For the first time ever, overtaking lose weight. It was pay off some debt. I've got too much debt. I'm in trouble. I'm worried whether or not I can make my basic payments. Alan Greenspan, our national economic leader, has stood up for the last 4 years and told Americans, borrow against your house. If you can't close the gap at the end of the month, just borrow against your house. Now, he never called it borrow against your house. He said fancy things like tap your home equity, which sounds like some kind of dance or, some clever financial thing to do. But what it really was is borrow more money against your house and bet your house that you can continue to make all those payments. Do all that just as a way to make it to the end of the month, to put groceries on the table, to make that house payment, to keep the lights on. That's really scary financial advice for someone to be giving American families. And what frightens me is millions of American families have taken that advice. We're starting to watch the numbers grow of people who are 65 and don't have their homes paid off, people who are 55 and still owe 25 years on their mortgages, or in 30 years when you're just finishing mortgage payments 15 years after you've tried to retire, trying to manage mortgage payments at the same time you're trying to live on Social Security. We've literally, as a country, mortgaged our future. The long-term trends don't look good.
It's almost like listening to someone who cares about the economy more than fawning over Republican presidents might be a better source when it comes to identifying impending recessions. And if Warren correctly predicting the 2008 crash was any indication of that, then we might want to heed her advice about the economy now under the Trump administration.
Senator Elizabeth Warren out with a new warning today. She says an economic crash is coming. She also claims she has a plan that could prevent it. In a new Medium post, the 2020 presidential contender writes, "I warned about an economic crash years before the 2008 crisis, but the people in power wouldn't listen." She goes on to add, "Now I'm seeing serious warning signs in the economy again, and I'm calling on regulators and Congress to act." The Massachusetts Democrat bases her prediction on a number of reasons, including growing household debt and corporate debt, and what she calls a manufacturing recession. Warren also faults President Trump for chaos in the form of the trade war with China, as well as his comments on Brexit.
And this is a recurring cycle in American politics. A Republican president inherits a strong economy from a Democrat, they pass massive tax cuts for the rich, deregulate Wall Street, which implements predatory banking practices that only serve to line their own pockets, the economy crashes, and then a Democrat takes over to clean up the mess. It happened when Bush took over for Clinton in 2001, and it's happening now as Trump took over for Obama. And Kudlow does try to invoke Obama, likening Obama's GDP with Trump's GDP. He says that while Trump didn't get to 3%, that Obama didn't either in his first 2 years of his administration. Only, when Obama took office, we were mired in the Bush recession. Kudlow just got done saying how indestructibly strong this economy is, so are we really comparing Obama's economy in the midst of the second worst economic downturn in US history to Trump's economy after 107 straight months of growth, 76 of which he inherited from Obama? The truth is that Obama not only hit 3% quarterly GDP growth, but broke 4% on several occasions, even breaking 5% quarterly GDP growth in the second quarter of 2014. Trump, meanwhile, has only broken 4% quarterly GDP once. As for annual GDP, Trump reached 2.9% in 2018, which is the exact same GDP that Obama had only 3 years ago in 2015. And 2.9% wasn't bad then, and it's not bad now, but to claim somehow that Trump is some self-described economic guru sent from the gods is clearly based on nothing. Kudlow clearly sees some warning signs, which is why he goes on to toe the White House's line of already blaming the Fed for rate hikes. And this has been stressed ad nauseum by Trump, so that if a recession does occur, he'll have already made it clear that it wasn't his fault. Because, say it with me now, nothing is his fault. So Trump and his mouthpieces can pretend that everything is fine, but they're only doing a disservice to themselves by disregarding major warning signs. And there are some big ones, like an inverted yield curve and massive drops in the Dow. But in our experience, the greatest indicator of all is Larry Kudlow saying,
"Well, I tell you what, I sure don't see a recession."